Now, there I was, sitting at my desk a few days after Super Smash Bros. Ultimate finished up their first, and maybe unfortunately their last, Grand Finals at EVO when I opened up YouTube and I saw my suggested videos, Guilty Gear 2020. Now, I had only heard about Guilty Gear and had no idea why there was a Gear fighting game, the logistics of metal cogs fighting each other, or why Gears were in fact guilty, but I was starting to get into fighting games around the time, so I thought I might as well check out the trailer.
That is bullshit blazing, still my heart is blazing. If the word kill me, I don't need a new word under you. Soon you will know, we already know the smell of the game.
So, as I was saying, I love Guilty Gear. I've always loved Guilty Gear. I've been playing Guilty Gear ever since the first game, which I'm pretty sure came out before I was born. The game looked like it could be hella sick, but as the release date approached, they got delayed, then delayed again, as well as 2 open betas and developer notes expressing interest to make the game more accessible by removing legacy mechanics. It became less of a question of what it could be and rather what it would be. So, how did the game turn out? Guilty Gear Strive is no Revelator 3, but it's still pretty damn good. The package that is Strive has a lot to offer. It's rich with single player and multiplayer content with more on the way while boasting impressive visuals and music. The art style and animations for everything are godlike and are accompanied by a banger soundtrack, also including a number of songs from previous games. But let's ask the important question. Is it fun? Yeah, it's pretty fun. Guilty Gear has historically been a very fast game, and Strive continues this trend while simplifying aspects of the game and slowing it down a bit for new players. This version of Gear is a lot easier to understand than previous titles by making changes that are more intuitive to new players, like air blocks being able to block ground normals, and the expansion of the Roman cancel system, a mainstay mechanic of the franchise, by pulling in other aspects from earlier features. The execution of this game is quite a bit lower compared to its previous titles, making it a lot easier to pick up and play. It's easier and faster to start getting to a point where the game becomes incredibly enjoyable. Some of my friends that have never played a Guilty Gear game or a traditional fighting game in general have been playing and have been loving it and the playable characters available at the moment. The roster, while small, is overall very solid. The game only has 15 characters on launch, but they're all fairly unique from each other and allow for a wide variety of playstyles. Kai doesn't play like Sol, who doesn't play like Milia, who doesn't play like Axel, who doesn't play like Fowls, but the underlying similarity that everyone is actually secretly a monkey. Characters are also incredibly expressive with amazing animations and particle effects that really help add weight to every attack. And while I am raining praise on the roster, I do feel like it could have had maybe 1 or 2 more characters to help round it out. But hopefully DLC will solve this issue for a reasonable price, unlike another game. This game has a good amount of single-player content on release, if for some reason you don't want to play with other people. Strive has arcade mode, survival mode, CPU battles, a whole ass anime where the largest suspension of disbelief is that the US wants to demilitarize, and fishing gacha. While none of these game modes really display the pinnacle of what Strive has to offer, they're pretty fun to spend some time in. What's nice about this is the game does offer a lot of things to do if you don't want to play online, which I think is really going to go a long way for a more casual audience. Another thing I think is going to really help out with the casual audience is the mission mode, which is basically a massive and comprehensive tutorial. It covers a lot of stuff, all the way from basic movement to character-specific tech like Kara canceling. It really throws a bone to new players, and I think the structure of it is very intuitive. While there are a ton of different missions to complete, each go over one bit of tech while having players complete a challenge evolving said tech in a best of 5 format to help ensure that you really understand what you're being taught. On top of this, missions are selectable in any order, so intermediate players can skip over the really basic missions like running or dashing. And of course, you could refine your skills in training mode, where you could lab stuff out, and there's a lot of options to really help streamline the experience. Except for frame data for some reason. I don't quite know why. So far, I've said quite a lot of good things about this game, so now let me talk some smack. It's no secret, but the online is simultaneously one of the best and worst online experiences you could ever have. When the game wants to work, it works well, but when it doesn't, it really doesn't. If Guilty Gear Strive's gameplay and netcode is an incredibly polished AAA game, then its lobbies are an alpha build. for a game from the late 90s. This shit refuses to work and is littered with bugs, especially the private rooms. You can't search up other rooms with a code for some dumbass reason, because when you do that, every room opened within the last century from any region will pop up in your search, except for the one that you're looking for. Hopefully this shit gets fixed, but with how great the rest of the game feels, it sticks out like a very sore and very dysfunctional thumb. I've started my recording. This shit is ass. Let me out of this. I'm actually just stuck in limbo.
Kelly, can you just save us by like knocking me off the podium? Like, is that gonna work again?
Killian, help! Killian's not moving on my screen. He's stuck too.
I'm flying.
We need to invite a new player.
We're actually just stuck in limbo. We can't get out.
Wait.
It's been like a minute.
Wait, no.
Oh. Can I?
Clayton, lose.
No, I'm determined to win this.
Hurry up and lose! Before I said this game is very good for new players of the franchise, or even fighting games in general, but as a downside, this may leave a lot to be desired for longtime veterans. Guilty Gear and short combos are things that I normally would never associate, but combos in this game are a lot shorter than before, often only 3 or 4 hits. It's very easy to do optimal combos, and while I wouldn't call this game soft, I do see why some people might not find the game particularly deep, especially when compared to other games in the series. Some of the features cut are incredibly questionable, like the lack of air teching, or like teching in general, except for off the walls for some reason. Gatling, which is a system which allows you to combo, isn't intuitive and is kinda clunky. In previous games, you could always gattle into a stronger button, but never a weaker one. Think of it this way. Guilty Gear has 5 attack buttons. Punch, kick, slash, heavy slash, and dust. If you press a button, it could always be followed up by another button later on in that list, but never one that comes before. I could combo punch to kick to slash in Rev 2, for example. But in Strive, you can't do that. You could gattle punch into any command normal, but not into kick or slash. It's all over the place, and it's kind of weird that while most of the systems of the game are simplified, this is more complex, but not in an intuitive way. Another issue with the gameplay is the damage is just way too damn high. Characters fucking explode left and right, and getting hit with only a few buttons could mean the difference between 100% health and no percent health. You only really need to win a handful of exchanges in neutral, and I understand that the damage is supposed to be newcomer friendly, but I feel like the ease of execution just makes the game more reliant on game knowledge, which is something a new player won't have, but veteran players do, making it so the game is ironically more difficult for newcomers when playing against someone more experienced. However, maybe my criticisms aren't very valid, except for the lobbies. Those things are fucking atrocious, and I'm pretty sure they violate at least one of the articles of the Geneva Conventions.
I'm just gonna smack you.
Wait, why is this happening?
Congratulations.
I don't know.
First of all, I'm not very good at fighting games. The last time I made a video about fighting games that wasn't Smash was like forever ago, and... oh shit. It's been like, actually 6 months. Maybe I'll play Street Fighter again sometime. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Okay, anyway, as I was saying, I'll be the first person to tell you that I don't completely know what I'm talking about. But also, by changing one system in the game, you would have to change a bunch of others to give the game the same feel. If we revert the Gatlings to what they were before, characters could die in one combo, so we'd have to lower the damage, which would make the game slower. So we would have to increase character mobility, but this would make combos more horizontal, so we'd have to increase corner carry, or make stages longer, which would make it so wall breaks are kind of obsolete. ArcSys very obviously wants this game to be easier, to be more newcomer friendly, and there isn't really an issue with that. Guilty Gear Strive isn't Revelator 3, and that's okay. And if that's not what you want, Revelator and Plus R are still there, so just play those games instead. The package that is Guilty Gear Strive is very solid and does what it sets out to do. Be a fun game for a more casual market while offering a deep enough experience for longer time fans. So, what I'm trying to say is, Guilty Gear Strive really does make you feel like Guilty Gear. Anyway, goodbye!